Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Studio Central. Coming at you live and direct again with another installment of Doc Ock at noon and 9. We are now moving into we're about to begin our last presentation on Ethiopia and Haile Selassie in celebration of His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie's 129th B-Earth Day. That's right, he would have been 129 years old today, which, by the way, would be quite a feat. Anybody that lives that long, that's a feat. Some say he's still alive. Some say he's not. I can't say for sure. All I know is that we definitely wanted to celebrate his B-Earth Day. Meanwhile, as far as you all go, we are moving on. We are moving right along, and we want to go ahead and do our thing. So let's go ahead and give us a like if you're watching us on Facebook. Give us a thumbs up if you're seeing us on YouTube. And then go ahead and spread the word across the land, because this is just how we had it planned, for word of mouth to do the work of the public relations work for us. That's right. This is like some FUBU. For us, by us. This is for us, by us. In other words, we want to promote our own. So if you all could help us do that, that would be greatly appreciated. In the meanwhile, let's go ahead and read our proverb of the day. See what we got for you today. I think I just had one or two left. I mean, we have gone through this whole book. Here we go. Oh, I got a few more left. Okay, here's a good one here. A big fish is caught with big bait. Oh, I love that one. I love that one. A big fish is caught with big bait. Right. And a small axe can chop down a large tree. That's one that Bob Marley used to like. That one is from Sierra Leone. A big fish is caught with big bait. So if you want to catch a big fish, you know just what to do. Get yourself some big bait, because that might be just what it takes. Of course, if you're trying to catch a whale, you might want to use a little bitty tiny bait, because they like to eat krill, which are very, 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 very tiny, itsy bitsy fish. They just eat a whole bunch of them at once. Try to make a meal out of them, because one won't even make a morsel. All right, so here we go. I'm still trying to get this other piece back here online. See if I can do that while we're working out over here and watching our slideshow of the night. Let's see what we got to keep you from being uptight. The slideshow of the night. There we go. I don't know why it's doing all that. Oh, I know why. There we go. That's why. Now, we got that fixed. All right. Should be good now. So, we're continuing on. We started last night with a different account of the story of the Queen of Sheba. And what we're going to read tonight is Menyelek's return to Axum and how he became king, according to the Keber Nagas, the Book of the Glory of the Kings, otherwise known as the story of the Queen of Sheba and her only son, Menyelek. And I see this thing just doesn't want to cooperate at all, so I'm just going to hard boot it over here. See if I can do the hard boot. Boot it right on down. Meanwhile, let's go. And the king of Ethiopia returned to his country with great joy and gladness, marching along with their songs and their pipes and their wagons like an army of heavenly beings, the Ethiopians arrived from Jerusalem at the city of Wakaram in a single day. And they sent messengers in ships to announce their arrival to Makeda, the queen of Ethiopia, and to report to her how they had found every good thing and how her son had become king and how they had brought the heavenly Zion. And she caused all this glorious news to be spread abroad, and she made a herald to go round about in all the country that was subject unto her, ordering the people to meet her son, and more particularly the heavenly Zion, the tabernacle of the God of Israel. And they blew horns before her, and all the people of Ethiopia rejoiced, from the least to the greatest, men as well as women. And the soldiers rose up with her to meet their king. And she came to the city of the government, which is the chief city of the kingdom of Ethiopia. Now in later times, this city became the chief city of the Christians of Ethiopia, and in it she caused to be prepared perfumes innumerable, from India, and from Balata to Galatet, and from Al-Safu to Azazat, and had them brought together there. And her son came by the Azeba road to Wakaram, and he came forth to Masas and ascended to Bird, and arrived at the city of the government, the capital of Ethiopia, which the queen herself had built and called Dabra Makeda, after her own name. And David the king came with great pomp unto his mother's city, and then he saw in the height the heavenly Zion, sending forth the light like the sun. And when the queen saw this, she gave thanks unto the God of Israel and praised him, and she bowed low and smote her breast, and then threw up her head and gazed into the heavens and thanked her creator, and she clapped her hands together, and she sent forth shouts of laughter from her mouth, and danced on the ground with her feet, and she adorned her whole body with joy and gladness, with the fullest will of her inward mind. And what shall I say of the rejoicing which took place then in the country of Ethiopia, and of the joy of the people, both of man and beast, from the least to the greatest, from the biggest to the smallest, from the rooter to the tutor. You know it's a bad motor scooter when you bring it on Zion. Everybody had to rejoice, both of the women and the men. And pavilions and tents were placed at the foot of Dabra Makeda, on the flat plain by the side of good water. And they slaughtered 32,000 stalled oxen and bulls. And they set Zion upon the fortress of Dabra Makeda, and made ready for her 300 guards who wielded swords to watch over the pavilion of Zion, together with her own men and her nobles, the mighty men of Israel. And her own guards were 300 men who bore swords. And in addition to these, her son David had 700 guards. And they rejoiced exceedingly with great glory and pleasure, being arrayed in fine apparel, for the kingdom was directed by her from the sea of Aleba to the sea of Oseka. Everyone obeyed her command, and she had exceedingly great honor and riches. None before her ever had the like, and none after her shall ever have the like. In those days, Solomon was king in Jerusalem, and Makeda was queen in Ethiopia. Unto both of them were given wisdom and glory and riches and graciousness and understanding and beauty of voice, or eloquence of speech, and intelligence. And gold and silver were held as cheaply as brass, and rich stuffs wherein gold was woven were as common as linen garments, and the cattle and the horses were innumerable. And on the third day Makeda delivered over to her son 17,700 chosen horses, which were to watch the army of the enemy, and would again plunder the cities of the enemy, and 7,700 mares that had borne foals, and 1,000 female mules, and 700 chosen mules, and apparel of honor, gold and silver, measured by the gomer, and measured by the core, some 6 and some 7. And she delivered over to her son everything that was his by law, and all the throne of her kingdom. And the queen said unto her nobles, Speak ye now, and swear ye by the heavenly Zion that ye will not make women queens, or set them upon the throne of the kingdom of Ethiopia, and that no one except the male seed of David, in other words, Menyelek, the son of Solomon the king, shall ever reign over Ethiopia, and that ye will never make women queens. And all the nobles of the king's house swore, and the governors and the counselors and the administrators. And she made Elmeas and Azariah the chief of the priests and the chief of the deacons, and they made the kingdom anew. And the sons of the mighty men of Israel performed the law together with David in the tabernacle of witness, and the kingdom was made anew, and the hearts of the people shone at the sight of Zion, the tabernacle of the law of God. And the people of Ethiopia cast aside their idols, and they worshiped their creator, the God who had made them. And the men of Ethiopia forsook their works, and loved the righteousness and justice that God loveth. They forsook their former fornications, and chose purity in the camp that was in the sight of the heavenly Zion. They forsook divination and magic, and chose repentance and tears for God's sake. They forsook augury by means of birds and the use of omens, and they returned to hearken unto God, and to make sacrifice unto him. They forsook the pleasures of the gods who were devils, and chose the service and praise of God. The daughters of Jerusalem suffered disgrace, and the daughters of Ethiopia were held in honor. The daughter of Judah was sad, whilst the daughter of Ethiopia rejoiced. The mountains of Ethiopia rejoiced, and the mountains of Lebanon mourned. The people of Ethiopia were chosen from among idols and graven images, and the people of Israel were rejected. The daughters of Zion were rejected, and the daughters of Ethiopia were honored. The old men of Israel became objects of contempt, and the old men of Ethiopia were honored. For God accepted the peoples who had been cast away, and rejected Israel, for Zion was taken away from them, and she came into the country of Ethiopia. For wheresoever God is pleased for her to dwell, there is her habitation, and where he is not pleased that she should dwell, she dwelleth not. He is her founder and maker and builder, the good God in the temple of his holiness, the habitation of his glory, with his Son and the Holy Spirit, forever and forever and forever. Amen. And Makeda, the queen of Ethiopia, gave the kingdom to her son David, in other words, Menyelek, the son of Solomon, the king of Israel. And she said unto him, Take the kingdom, I have given it unto thee. I have made king him whom God hath made king, and I have chosen him whom God hath chosen as the keeper of his pavilion. I am well pleased with him whom God hath been pleased to make the envoy of the tabernacle of his covenant and his law. I have magnified him whom God hath magnified as the director of his widows, and I have honored him whom God hath honored as the giver of food to orphans. And the king rose up and girded up his apparel, and he bowed low before his mama, and said unto her, Thou art the queen, O my lady, and I will serve thee in everything which thou commandest me, whether it be to death or whether it be to life. Wheresoever thou sendest me, I will be sent. And wheresoever thou orderest me to be, there will I be. And whatsoever thou commandest me to do, that will I do. For thou art the head, and I am the foot. You are the Alpha, I am the Omega, the beginning and the end, and thou art the lady, and I am thy slave. Everything shall be performed according to thy order, and none shall transgress thy commandment, and I will do everything that thou wishest. But pray for me that the God of Israel may deliver me from his wrath, for he will be wroth, according to what they tell us, if we do not make our hearts right to do his will, and if we do not readily observe all his commands in respect to Zion, the habitation of the glory of God. For the angel of his host is with us, who directed us and brought us hither, and he shall neither depart from us nor forsake us. And now hearken unto me, O my lady. If I and those who are after me behave rightly and do his will, God shall dwell with us and shall preserve us from all evil and from the hand of our enemy. But if we do not keep our hearts right with him, he will be wroth with us and will turn away his face from us and will punish us, and our enemies will plunder us, and fear and trembling shall come to us from the place whence we expect them not. And they will rise up against us and will overcome us in war and will destroy us. On the other hand, if we do the will of God and do what is right in respect to Zion, we shall become chosen men, and no one shall have the power to treat us evilly in the mountain of his holiness, whilst his habitation is with us. And behold, we have brought with us the whole law of the kingdom and the commandment of God, which Zadok the high priest declared unto us when he anointed me with the oil of sovereignty in the house of the sanctuary of God, the horn of oil, which is the unguent of priesthood and royalty, being in his hand. And he did unto us that which was written in the law, and we were anointed, Azariah to the priesthood, and I to the kingdom, and Elmias to the mouth of God, keeper of the law, that is to say, keeper of Zion, in the ear of the king, in every path of righteousness. And they commanded me that I should do nothing except under their advice. And they set us before the king and before the elders of Israel, and all the people heard whilst Zadok the priest was giving us the commands, and the horns and the organs were blown, and the sounds of their harps and musical instruments, and the noise of the outcries which were made at that time were in the gates of Jerusalem. But what shall I tell unto you, O ye who were present there? It seemed to us that the earth quaked from her very foundations, from the root, and that the heavens above our heads thundered, and the heart trembled with the knees. And there of Menyelek's return to Ethiopia. And as you can see, he did not come empty-handed. He did not come without bearing gifts. And his gift was the greatest gift of all, the heavenly Zion. Some folks call it Zion, but we call it Zion. T-S-I-O-N, Z-I-O-N. It's all the same thing. We may say it different, but it means the same thing. Yes. And his name was David, otherwise known as Menyelek. Menyelek the first. Now, Menyelek, the one who came before the time of his imperial majesty Haile Selassie and brought the tablets of the law, the commandments that had been given to Israel, which apparently they had forsaken, to Ethiopia, and brought the blessing of Almighty Jah to Ethiopia as well. So that sounds like a bit of a heavy story for a bedtime story, but I tell you what, it's better than watching Law and Order, okay, before going to bedtime. It shouldn't give you any nightmares or frightmares or anything like that. So I hope that you all were able to follow along as best you could. I know I was reading kind of fast, but that's seemed to be the way that the text was written to be read. So I got to read it like I see it. That's how I do it. I read it like I see it. I could have read it differently, but I decided that's how I usually do it. So we're closing the book on that particular story, but it turns out I looked at my as I looked over my my schedule, that we do have at least 1 or 2 more evenings on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, that we will continue to tell stories of Ethiopia, because we're not going to start on our new topic, Marcus Garvey. So we've got coming up tomorrow and Sunday, we've got our playlist coming up, our revised playlist. So that's Ethiopia 101 and Tales of Ethiopia. So check those out on Saturday and Sunday. We'll have some good stuff on there, some more selections about and from Ethiopia. And then on Saturday evenings, then we'll continue. We got a few more stories we're going to read out of here. Matter of fact, the next one up is going to be about Lalibela. We talked about Lalibela a little bit, but we're going to at least be able to read the story of Lalibela. Okay, I've read another version for the adults previously, but I haven't really done a good one for the children. We kind of read a little children's short story, but I'm going to read another version. So look forward to that coming up tomorrow and on Sunday. And in the meantime, may peace guide your way, because this is the end of our day. We're going to go on upstairs and get us a little bit of some injera and some of those good Ethiopian collard greens. Oh yeah, we getting ready to get down on some mean greens. We got some mean greens fresh from the garden. And in the meanwhile, you know what you need to do. All you little children need to take your little heads and lay them on your little pillows on your little bed. Close those your eyes and wait on that sun to rise. And when you feel those sunbeams beaming down on your eyes, you'll know that it's time for you to rise and shine and grab the day, because it should be thine. All you got to do is reach out and touch it and bring it down to you. That's right, manhandle it, or woman handle it, as the case may be. And in the meantime, all you adults out there, you got a few tasks to do as well. A couple of them you can do right now. Number one, if you're watching us on Facebook, give us a like. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. And last but not least, make sure to subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel. Hit that button. It costs you nothing, but it will bring you many benefits, and they come to you absolutely free. They're free for thee from me. Peace out without a doubt. Of course, with justice, because anything less disgusts us.